Hi everyone, my name is Michelle. This is my first video here on my channel pertaining to my real life, what I do day to day. People know me for my tarot reading and my channeled messages, but the way that I live my life is a little bit different than most people. I travel full-time, year-round on cruise ships, and I do it solo. A little bit about me: I am in my 50s. My name is Michelle. I'm from Australia originally. I've spent a lot of time in the US, 25 years in Florida to be exact. So I'm a US citizen and an Australian at heart. And I do hope that you enjoy my upcoming videos on my life and my life here on cruise ships. Now, cruise ships, they can be a magical place or they can be hellish. It really just depends on how you go into the experience. With me, I always try to go in with a positive attitude. You have to have a passion for cruising if you're going to do this full time. And for me, I had my house. I spent a lot of time at sea just to see no pun intended, if I would like the lifestyle before I sold up and started doing my thing here full time. So I spent a couple of years doing that, and I racked up over 70 cruises doing that. And then just last year at the 2023 now, we're in 2025 already. In 2023 I sold my home, I sold most of my things, and I decided to travel full-time, and specifically on cruise ships. Now, I don't just take one particular line, I take many lines. I try and schedule them back to back, but of course I do at times have to spend some time on land in between cruises. Now, what I'd like from you guys is to drop me a comment down below about what you would like to know about traveling full-time on cruises. So drop me a question, and in future videos I will answer those particular questions. And of course, drop me a like if you are enjoying this video, and please do subscribe because I'll be putting these out on a very regular basis. Currently, I am in the middle of a 51-day cruise. It started in the port of Los Angeles, San Pedro, and it will end in Fort Lauderdale, Florida in about 2.5 weeks. I started on December 1st. It is now January 5th, I think, when I'm doing this video. And it has been quite the journey. I'm going around South America. I've been around the Horn. And I've spent time here on the Majestic Princess, getting to know staff, crew members, and of course my fellow passengers. And it has, for the most part, been a wonderful cruise. My first time in South America. Now, a few things I wanted to talk about in this initial video. Number one is that getting your questions in, because that's going to be ultra important. The purpose of my cruising videos will be mainly to do with answering your questions about the lifestyle, especially if you're intrigued about it. Now, I've done over 110 cruises now, around that. I've done the majority of them, over 90% of them solo. I really enjoy traveling solo. And not to say I don't enjoy traveling with other people as well, I do. But there's just something about traveling solo that really pulls you out of your comfort zone, gets you meeting other people. When you travel in groups or travel with a partner, you tend to stick with that person. There are a lot of people who have cruised a lot with each other and enjoy getting out and meeting other people, but I find the majority of people tend to stay in their cliques or their family units. So when you're a solo, you kind of, unless you want to spend the entire time alone, you're kind of forced to get out there and make friends. You talk to people. Everyone has an interesting story at sea. Now, When it comes to cruising, as I said, you have to have a passion for it if you want to do it full time. So I recommend testing it out. Say you've taken maybe a handful of cruises, you really love it, and you're intrigued about how to go about it full time. Whether you're retired or not, I am personally not retired. I work as well as spend my time here on my home. I consider it my home, and I treat it like my home, and I treat the people that are around me very, very well, as you would in anyone around your home. For me, I am more of an introverted person. Socially, usually takes a lot for me to come out and make friends, but this lifestyle has really made it much easier for me because I find the majority of people are in a very good mood. It's very easy to make friends. It's very easy to talk to people. Occasionally, of course, you'll get the old grumpy bum. They're everywhere. Why they come on cruises is beyond me. I have no idea. They could be grumpy at home. But the majority of people are in a very, very good mood, and it doesn't matter what's really going on in their life. They're just there to enjoy themselves. So it's very, very easy for an introvert like me to make friends. So I balance my time between being social and partaking in all of these social events, parties, activities, things like that. Social gatherings like shared tables. Whenever I feel particularly lonely, there's always a crew member. Doesn't matter if it's at 2 o'clock in the morning. You'll find a crew member around to talk to that's doing something in around the ship. And when I'm feeling kind of meditative or reflective and want to be by myself, if I'm lucky enough to have a balcony cabin, I'll spend time out on the balcony. Or at night, I'll just go up on the top deck, find a nice, comfortable chair, and just sit and contemplate the stars and listen to the waves. And boy, there's nothing more peaceful than that. That's some of my joyous time is spent doing just that. Now, other things to talk about here. Now, of course, you have to be okay with being away from family and friends. Now, for me personally, I didn't have a whole lot of ties, so it's kind of easier for me. It suits my lifestyle to be out here. I've made a lot more friends than I ever did on land, and I'm still friendly with those people, whether it's in person. I see people over and over again on the same people on different cruises. Or I do it via email, Facebook, all of the social media. You get the idea. Now, you have to not be easily annoyed. One thing in my years of cruising I've noticed an uptick of is people who come on cruises and are just there kind of to be quite negative, to pick things apart, become easily offended, easily annoyed by things. You have to understand that cruises are it's like a floating resort, but it's more than that. There's just so much that goes into it. The crew are often overworked, quite stressed, and are away from their home and their own family members. And English is not their first language. So cut them a break, guys. Cut them a break. If things go awry, and they will, especially on long cruises like this South American jaunt that I'm doing right now, immigration clearance is a trial, which can take up to 3 hours. To get into ports like Argentina or Brazil, it can be quite challenging, and the crew is challenged. It's out of their control. They can't do anything about it, and they're waiting just like us. So when you're stuck there waiting to get off the cruise ship, or there's something that's causing delays or stress, or your shore excursion didn't quite go to plan, take a few deep breaths and find that chill place again before you go, and by all means go and express your concern, especially if it's something that is something that can be resolved in some way. But if it's something that's out of the crew's hands, like immigration, like things like the weather, try and take a step back here and just kind of cut them a break. That's important, because it will do so. All it takes, guys, is just one angry person or one irritated person to say something regretful to anyone on board, whether it's a crew member or another passenger, and it can really ruin the vibe. It can really ruin that person's day. I've seen it happen to crew members who have been in a good mood, and then suddenly somebody says something quite rude to them, and that's kind of the end of that. So, guys, that's one thing that I wish would change, and it's kind of a little bit of a seems to be something that's going around, like people treating each other badly at the moment. I'm not saying everyone does this, but that small percentage of people can really bring the energy down. So just be mindful of that, and don't be part of the issue. Now, when it comes to eating, people will often say to me, how do you eat cruise food all day? Well, the reality is I tend to limit it. I often don't go to the buffet like in the evening. For social reasons and for portion control, I go to the main dining room. The food is often better there, not always, but often better there, and the portions are usually on the small side, which is good. It limits. You can, instead of having dessert, have fresh fruit, have some nice soup or a salad without dressing or dressing on the side, and have some fresh fish or some kind of healthy option there, with plenty of vegetables. Tend to be hard to come by in the main dining room, but if you ask for a double portion of vegetables and less meat, you can always ask for that. They're very accommodating. And when it comes to desserts, be mindful of that. And the majority of calories that are put on are usually put on by drinking, the sugary drinks. So I tend to stay away from drinking sugary drinks. Keep to water or the unsweetened iced tea, and things like that. I personally, to keep costs down, I don't get the drink package. I rely on what's free and available or included in the cost of the cruise. Occasionally I will treat myself to a specialty coffee, or a one of those frappuccino kind of like drinks, something like that, just if I'm really feeling the need for something sweet. So don't waste your calories on sweets that don't even taste that good. One thing I've noticed about sweets lately, and I don't know if this is just generally or mainly on cruises, but they look really good, but when you taste them, there's not a whole lot of taste. It just tastes like sugar and cream. But maybe that's just me. Drop me a comment down below if you agree with the quality of the sweets. Now, of course, the soft serve ice cream is always a great option, free, included in your cruise, but again, try to limit that, guys. I try to have maybe one once a week, especially on one of those hot days. If I've just been walking out on shore and in a hot place, I'll often come on board, treat myself then to one of the soft serve treats. I had one just a couple of hours ago, and boy was it good. Listening to some music on the Lido deck, doesn't get much better than that, guys. Now, when it comes to minimizing costs, what do I do? Well, I mainly choose inside cabins. Of course, be mindful, because sometimes the price of a balcony is not that much more. So, especially on journeys like a repositioning cruise or a transatlantic or trans-Pacific, often the cost is not that much more. As a solo traveler, of course, I would be paying a solo price, which is sometimes double, not always. You can always ask for deals. I personally don't use a travel agent. I am not a travel agent. I have no ties with the cruise line. I have no ties with any kind of travel. I'm not selling anything here. Okay, this is my own personal opinion and how I live my life. So yes, I work to maintain my lifestyle here on cruise ships. One thing that I do to minimize costs is if I'm going to gamble, which I do like to do, especially as an Australian, where some of the most prolific gamblers on the face of the planet, us and the Asian population. So it's usually that group that's down in the casino. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money, but make sure that you look at the board, which is usually posted near the host's table, and it'll tell you how many points you need for certain things, like a comped inside cabin. And then you can choose whether or not you're going to spend some money in there. I would say do it, if you're going to do it anyway, make sure that you maximize your points. Make sure that the host knows who you are and that you're spending time there. Get things comped, like often you can get spa, you can get the onboard shopping comped, you can get meals in the specialty dining room comped, some bottles of wine, things like that. So don't let if you're going to spend money in the casino, make sure you make it you get something for it. Okay, guys, don't just go down there, spend money, and then walk away. No, get your money out of that casino, because if you're going to do it anyway, don't go to the casino just to get those things. I want to make that very plain. But if you're going to do it anyway, it's something you enjoy on cruises, maximize those deals. Okay. Carnival has recently decided to not give out much in terms of comps. They used to be quite generous. No longer, guys, but the other cruise lines that have casinos are still giving out quite good deals. Like, for instance, on Celebrity, I know that you get an inside room for 1,500 points. And currently here on the Majestic Princess, it's around 20,000 points for a balcony room, about 15,000 for an inside, with some free play added as well. Okay, so that's another thing that I do, is to get, if I'm going to do it, is to maximize deals. So even if you don't get comped rooms, you can get a lot of money off, and that works for me, especially as a solo, because often I won't have to pay a added fee because I'm traveling on my own. Okay, so things like that. Now, when it comes to prices, check prices daily, because flash sales can come up and prices can vary radically. They can fluctuate wildly from week to week. So if you see a deal, anything under $100 a day, grab it. Often the longer journeys, like a repositioning cruise, will be a lot cheaper. I always try to take advantage of that. I hate to fly. It really does irritate me these days, guys. So I try to go on these long distance journeys. I do trans-Pacifics, transatlantics, trans anything, guys. I'm all about the longer journey, and those are often some of the cheapest, depending on the line that you go with. I personally like to do a transatlantic on Royal Caribbean because there's less children on a longer journey, and longer journeys on Royal Caribbean are hard to come by. So I like the experience on Royal Caribbean, but I'm not so fond of all of the children on a regular voyage. So for me, I like to do a long journey on Royal. Now, when it comes to sea days, what are your thoughts on sea days, guys? Because if you're living a lifestyle like me, you have to be okay. You actually have to be more than okay with sea days. You have to relish them. For me, port days can be quite expensive because you're getting off, things are no longer included, so you have to pay for things like transport, you have to pay for your food, your drinks, all of that. And sometimes if you're in an unsafe place, like for instance I'm just about to go into Rio de Janeiro, for me personally as a solo woman, I'm going to take some ship excursions, which of course are quite expensive, so you have to weigh up safety versus cost. And when it comes to living this lifestyle, you have to really make some budgeting choices when it comes to ports and what you're going to do in port, how much money you're going to spend. And of course, once you start doing this full time, you'll find that some ports like in the Caribbean or Mexico, I don't even bother getting off anymore because, or maybe I'll just take a little bit of a walk along the shore or something like that, because I've been there so often, I've seen it all. So there you go, guys. Now, don't take too much with you. I travel with one suitcase. I sold 98% of my things. I travel with one suitcase, and that's it. You'll be happier, especially when you're going between cruises. Often you have to walk between terminals, which can be quite lengthy, or if you have to spend some time at a port between cruises, 1 or 2 nights in a hotel or a motel or an inn, B&B, whatever, you'll be so happy you have less luggage, trust me, especially on hot summer days. Whoo! I almost passed out walking from Terminal 1 to like 6 in Barcelona in the middle of June or July. It was crazy hot, crazy hot. Now, as I said, I try to fix the cruises where you can join up from day to day, back to back to back to back. Not always possible, so certain times you have to budget for those hotel stays in between. I personally try to stay the closest I can to the port, but most ports are not walkable distance. Try and find a hotel or motel that has free transport to and from, or just to the port, and that's a winner, guys. That's a winner. I'll be putting more details specifically as it relates to these things when I do videos that are specific to a certain topic, okay, guys? So make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss out on these videos. Be prepared for lots of waiting in between. I spend a lot of time in waiting at terminals, waiting for transport, a lot of waiting. Oh yeah, and this lifestyle can be tiring. Although it seems kind of glamorous, I would say that 50-50. You know, it's a great lifestyle, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But there are times when I kind of really would like to just have a place to kind of sit, relax, watch my favorite TV shows, which are not readily available. Things like that, you know, you do tend to miss a little bit of those creature comforts. But then I take a walk outside and I realize I'm in a fabulous place and a fabulous location that people would love to be in, and then I kind of smack myself in the side of the head and say, stop thinking that way, Michelle. You know, you don't need TV. Okay, things like that. And utilize status. If you've taken a lot of cruises and you've reached a lot of status or high status on something like Princess or Honda America, make sure you utilize all of the benefits that come with that, like minibar setups, complimentary laundry, money off the internet, all of that. Now, lastly, I want to put the call out again. Please don't forget to drop me any questions that you have, anything you'd like me to address in my upcoming videos. And I want to leave you with this message. Every cruise is what you make of it. You have a lot of power to make your cruise vacation perfectly wonderful or a really negative experience. It's your choice. And it's a clean slate every time, guys. That's one of the beauties of changing ships as I do. It's a clean slate every time. Bye, guys. I hope to see you soon on my next video, and please take care.